This is the second video in a series. In the first video, we began exploring 10 paradigm-shifting verses from the New Testament. We begin now with verse number 3. The Apostle Paul, in coming up to Jerusalem to give a report, tells of the wonders being worked in Asia Minor among the Gentiles. Acts 21:20 relates to us the excited response about those who believed in Jerusalem. And when they heard it, they began glorifying God, and they said to him, "You see, brother, how many thousands there are among the Jews of those who have believed, and they are all zealous for the Torah." Belief in Messiah does not negate or nullify the Torah. Rather, it should increase our zeal for obedience out of love. Here's the question. Do theologians 1,000 to 2,000 years removed from Jerusalem and the apostles know more than James and Paul and all the elders who are standing here witnessing this meeting? I don't think so. This verse is a paradigm shifter. Number 4. Just a couple verses later may be the single most shocking verse in the New Testament for most Christians. As a former pastor, when I read and fully understood this verse, it totally rocked my world. Acts 21:26 says, "Then Paul took the men, and the next day, purifying himself along with them, went into the temple, giving notice of the completion of the days of purification, until the sacrifice was offered for each one of them." He was fulfilling a Nazirite vow from Numbers chapter 6. You just read that Paul, the apostle and possible author of Hebrews, was in the temple offering sacrifices some 20 plus years after the Damascus Road experience. He was seized not for offering sacrifices, but for allegedly bringing Gentiles into the temple courts. False witnesses again. Paul was offering sacrifices in the temple. Ponder the significance to most theology that says the sacrificial system has been done away with. Yes, this is really heavy, but it is a reality in Scripture that must be dealt with. Zechariah 14:21 speaks of future sacrifices. So does Ezekiel chapters 43 and 44. Parts of Isaiah allude to the same. There is a link below with more information on this paradigm-shifting topic. Number 5. Having read and wrestled with the previous question, many come to the conclusion that Paul was just acting according to custom and meant no theological harm. While this would make him out to be a liar, let's just go to one of his 4 legal testimonies. After Paul arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many and serious charges against him, which they could not prove. While Paul said in his own defense, "I have committed no offense against either the law of the Jews, the Torah, or against the temple, or against Caesar." Acts 25, verses 7 and 8. The presence of false witnesses. Paul, by his own testimony, clearly states that he has not committed offense against the Torah or the temple. Either he is lying or he is telling the truth. If Paul is lying, can we trust anything else he has written? If he is telling the truth, how can we claim that he taught against the Torah? You see, teaching against the Torah is an offense that is punishable by death. Just look at Deuteronomy chapters 12, verse 32 through 13, verse 11. Seriously, if Paul was teaching against the Torah, why didn't his accusers simply go get a copy of the letter to the Galatians? According to Christendom, it was his defining work against the Torah. Duh! There's all the proof his accusers needed. And just for the record, that was a letter he likely wrote before Acts 15. Therefore, it was widely available to his accusers in the nearly 10 years prior to his arrest. Long story short, the letter to the Galatians is not about doing away with the Torah. It is about the misuse of the law for salvation. Galatians might not mean what you think it means.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Paul says, I have committed no offense against either the Torah of the Jews or against the temple. Ponder deeply. No offense against the Torah. That, my friends, is a paradigm shifter. Join us in the next video when we consider more of what Paul said and some things that Peter said. Shalom.